Okay, raise your hand if you want to see how bad I screwed up yesterday. I brought my Pioneer home from the farm, and as you can see, I've got it tied down in front, got it tied down in back, or so it looks. I was in a rush to get home because somebody wanted to watch the Ole Miss football game, so I thought I had it tied down enough in back, and I didn't. When we were coming down the interstate on the way home, we hit a pothole that spanned the entire length of the interstate from one side to the other. The Pioneer bounced, and when it did, the suspension compressed, and the tie-down ring or hook came out from underneath the tie-down point. So when I got home, it looked just like that, which means the Pioneer was not tied down at all. Now, this happened probably 20 minutes into a trip that spanned almost an hour and a half. So, for the majority of our trip, the Pioneer was not tied down. The back end is tied down over there, sort of, because that's just me tying up the slack from this 25-foot tie-down rope. Never get into a rush tying down your vehicle. Always take your time and do it right. Usually what I do is now the front's fine. The front's still pretty taut. Usually I'll tie it down with a big strap on the front and at least another small red strap on each side. So I'll put two small red straps on front and 2 on back. But here's what I'm going to do about this problem. I went to the hardware store and I got these surface mount rings. I'm going to put one behind and in front of each wheel, and I'm going to get tire straps that go over the tires. But the hardware store didn't get any. All they had were 4 rings. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 ring in behind each wheel in the back and in front of each wheel in the front. And I'm going to secure the rings underneath the wood. These rings are meant to be mounted through these carriage bolts like this. These carriage bolts are sized for this particular surface mount ring. Just like that, perfect fit. So I'm going to put 2 carriage bolts on each side through the top, and on the bottom I'm going to put these washers, and I have some lock washers also to lock them in place, and some aluminum for extra reinforcement on the bottom. So that's the job for today. But learn from my mistake. Don't ever get into a rush on the interstate, because if you have one of these vehicles you're towing at 70 or 80 miles an hour and it starts to move, you can't stop it. It's impossible. So anyhow, let's get started doing that. Okay, so instead of using aluminum, I've got this piece of steel I'm going to use, and here's why. I want to cut this so that the end sticks out beyond the hole by at least about 1 inch. So I'm going to measure it off. So there's the first one. Let's go cut those. Okay, I got my 4 pieces cut. Notice these are not all exactly the same size. They really don't have to be. They just have to be big enough to hold that ring on there. And I wanted a little bit of distance between the end of the metal and the bolt hole in the ring, so that ought to work just fine. Okay, now let's mark our holes in these. Okay, here's the bolt, here's the drill bit. So that should do if I use this bolt. So what I'm going to do is drill a pilot hole through each of these, and then I'm going to drill the bolt hole through them. Okay, let's swap bits. This thing is hot. Tighten it down good. Put my glasses back on. Cool. All right, so let's see. Yep, perfect fit. All right, let's do the next 4. And last one. Sweet. So this will go under the trailer, this will go on top of the trailer, just like that. And then underneath this, I'll put another flat washer and a lock washer. Actually, you don't even need a flat washer with this. So, anyhow. Ooh, these are hot, gee whiz. So here's 4 pieces, let's go put them on the trailer. All right, let's see, 1 there. 1 there, 3rd board from the end. 1 about right there. And 1 about right there where the tire should be. This tire should be over there. So let's measure those out and drill the holes to put them through and finish this up. Okay, you notice how the Pioneer is slightly in front of the center point between the 2 axles. That's because the weight of the Pioneer is mostly up in this area, and you want it forward on the trailer because you want to make sure the front of the trailer pushes down on the ball. So the trailer hitch right here, the hitch should actually push down on the ball in the truck and grab the ball. You never want the trailer to have any upward pressure, and if you have the Pioneer towards the back, then the front of the trailer may have the tendency to bounce up, and you don't want that. You always want the front of the trailer to push down. So that's why the Pioneer is not centered over the axle. It's actually to the front a little bit. All right, let's get these rings put on. There you go. Okay, so the way to do this is put your rings about 8 inches from your wheel. That is according to my resident expert. So this ought to do right here. Let's mark that hole. Mark that one. Actually, we started drilling that one already. All right. Perfect. Okay, let's put the ring in. Perfect. All right, let's do this one. All right, let's put this plate on the bottom. All right, so now we hit a classical problem, which my resident expert pointed out. When you put those bolts through, they don't go straight through, which means the holes in these need to be a little bit bigger. So we're gonna enlarge these just a bit. Okay, so what we decided to do was enlarge the hole in the trailer a little bit in the wood, instead of modifying the size of these, because these holes are exactly the size of the bolt. So let's try it again.
Now you got some leeway, see?
All right, let's try this again. Now that we're able to wiggle the bolts around just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so this metal plate spreads out the contact area for those bolts on the bottom. So instead of the bolt having a very narrow place it goes through, the force is spread out around a wider area. Okay, here's one more thing to think about. When you put these on, you only see the top. You never see what's on bottom. So you need to get down occasionally and look at these to make sure that your washers and nuts have not come off, because you don't want to tie it down and this only be anchored in wood without a nut on the bottom, because as soon as you put some power on this, it's going to pull right out of your wood. So just check it once in a while if you do this. All right, so here, if you notice, we have a square opening in the hole, and the carriage bolt has a square piece. So if I'm underneath the trailer and this bolt is through the opening in the metal plate, carriage bolt won't turn. Square part and a square hole. Okay, so my expert here pointed out something. If you put the ring on and you put the plate down and you tighten it down, the plate is going to be so tight the ring will not rotate loosely. So here's what you do. You actually take a washer, put on the hole underneath the plate. Then you put the bolts through. That way your ring can actually rotate when it's against the wood, like that. All right, let's tighten up the bottom. All right, that's good. All right, let's measure this one. And I'm just eyeballing it from the front edge of the tire. Okay, so we hit the bar a second time, which means I was not careful enough measuring it. So instead of going that way, we're gonna go that way. Okay. Okay, because the support bar on the bottom of the trailer is in an odd position, I'm gonna have to trim the edge of this so that I can get it underneath the trailer. So we're gonna cut this a little bit. My thing is messed up. And pick it up with pliers. Okay, let's see if that worked. Perfect. All right. Okay, so here's the whole point of doing this. This hook just does not hold securely underneath this piece, and this is made to put a 2x4 in. It's actually a lot more secure to have a round hook under a round opening like that, and it won't bounce out as much. So what we're going to do is come back and put another ring like that right behind the front tire on each side. And like that ring's behind the back tire, we're going to put one there, and then we're going to get straps to actually go over the tire to hold each tire in position. But for now, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching.